When you think of today's wrestling icons, there are three names that dominate. Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, the man who rebuilt himself and finished the story at WrestleMania. You think of Roman Reigns, the tribal chief who redefined dominance and triggered a boom period that WWE hasn't seen since the 1990s. You think of Seth Rollins, the in ring architect, always evolving, always essential to what WWE is. But there is one name that is rarely shouted with the same urgency, yet his story may be the most real and may be better than all. Hangman Adam Page. A man who doesn't walk with pyro, he walks with doubt. He doesn't scream about destiny, he whispers about fear. He's not a chosen one. He's a man who lived every inch of his story, and in doing so, he became AEW's main character. Much like Sting in WCW, Hangman was never built to be the face, but it became its soul. See, when the elite were running the world, Kenny Omega was redefining what professional wrestling is. The Young Bucks were reinventing tag team wrestling. Cody Rhodes was reclaiming and rebuilding his legacy. Adam Page was a side character, the hangman on the margins of Bullet Club, quiet, hesitant, the least likely to leave, let alone a headline. But the elite saw something in him, not because he was ready, but because, like WCW once saw in a young Sting, he could be something more. He had the raw material, the fire, the frame, the heart. He just needed some time to become. When AEW launched in 2019, Hangman wasn't the star, he was the hope. The promise of what AEW could be: a homegrown, emotionally grounded, self made star. A cowboy riding into a new frontier, and like Sting, AEW's golden boy wasn't born, he wasn't built week, but he was built week by week in front of us. He lost to Chris Jericho at All Out 2019. That wasn't just a defeat, it was the beginning of doubt. The moment Adam Page and AEW himself admitted this wouldn't be a perfect fairy tale. The Golden Boy didn't win, the cowboy fell off his horse. Sting's rise in WCW had the same story. He lost big matches early against the Horsemen, against Flair, but those losses didn't bury him. They planted the seeds of something deeper. They made fans care because pain makes victory matter. Hangman Page didn't start at the top of AEW. He earned every inch, and that journey through failure, fear, and friendship is what has made him AEW's emotional anchor. Following All Out 2019, Hangman was spiraled, but not in the way that most wrestlers do. This wasn't rage, this wasn't revenge. It was doubt, insecurity, the kind you drink away silently while the world keeps cheering. AEW didn't paper over his pain. They highlighted it. Hangman Page didn't get a reboot. He got a mirror. And when he teamed with Kenny Omega in 2020, it wasn't redemption, it was tragedy in slow motion. They were champions but never united. Hangman drank before matches. He smiled through the heartbreak, but every laugh, it was covering a crack. Like Crow Sting perched in the rafters, Hangman withdrew not out of hate but hurt. The moment he almost hit that buckshot lariat on Kenny, this was his rafters moment. Poised to strike, yet paralyzed by trust issues. The Bucks didn't believe in him. Omega walked away. The Elite, his friends cracked under the weight of ego and ambition. And just like how the NWO corrupted WCW and poisoned Sting's faith, the Elite betrayal shattered Hangman's world, not with a chair shot, but with silence. Then enter the Dark Order. The Dark Order, they weren't icons, they weren't world beaters, they weren't former champions. They're just outcasts, misfits, people like Hangman Page. They didn't want anything from him. They just told Hangman, we like you. And that mattered. Because for a man who'd been abandoned by the elite, mocked for his doubt, and broken by self-loathing, being liked was revolutionary. It wasn't a super kick, it wasn't a pep talk, it was acceptance. Like Sting watching from the rafters, Hangman could have stayed hinting, but here's the difference. Sting chose solitude. Hangman, he was pulled from it. He was rescued not by legends, but by a group that simply saw the good in him before he did. So when the moment came and the Dark Order asked him to fight for the AEW Championship again, He didn't puff out his chest. He didn't scream, "I'm back." He whispered three words: "I can't." Not "I won't." Not "I'm scared." Just "I can't." Three words that said everything because Hangman Page wasn't just a wrestler chasing gold. He was a man trying to believe in himself again. And then the world watched him face Kenny Omega at Full Gear 2021. It wasn't just a match. It wasn't just a title match. It was AEW's Starrcade 1997. But where Sting's moment was ruined by backstage politics, referee confusion, and corporate egos, Hangman was immaculate. No screwy finish, no debate, just a clean buckshot lariat 1, 2, 3. A cowboy redeemed, a company fulfilled, and a story completed.